It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Friday, April 25. Malacanang is alarmed over reports that China is allegedly interfering in the 2025 Philippine midterm elections. The palace says President Marcos has been briefed on the matter and which will undergo a thorough investigation. China has denied the claims, insisting it is following a policy of non-interference in other countries' affairs. Vice President Sara Duterte recently joined Isko Moreno's political rally in Tondo, Manila, where she took swipes at President Bongbong Marcos in front of his sister, Senator Amy Marcos. She joked about replacing her office's seal with that of the president's. Duterte also said in jest, kidnapping her detained father, former President Duterte, from The Hague to bring him home to the Philippines.
Palitan natin ng seal ng Office of the President. Si Bongbong Marcos ay hindi si Amy Marcos. Ibang tao si BBM, ibang tao si Amy Marcos. Paano makauwi si President Duterte? Kidnapin din natin doon, ma'am. Punta tayo lahat doon. Akong bahala sa ticket ninyo, ha?
President Marcos has authorized the issuance of digital nomad visas for foreign nationals working remotely while staying in the Philippines. Under Executive Order number 86, the DFA will lead the implementation of the program, which is meant to boost tourism and the economy. Eligible foreigners may stay for up to a year with multiple entry privileges subject to strict requirements. And security is tighter at the Vatican ahead of Pope Francis's funeral tomorrow. Heads of state will attend the rites, including President Bongbong Marcos and U.S. President Donald Trump, along with their spouses. Meanwhile, a tomb for the late pontiff has been constructed in the Basilica of Saint Mary Major. It's made using stone from the Liguria region of Italy, where his grandparents once lived. The tomb is marked only with the name Franciscus and bears a replica of the pontiff's pectoral cross.
And joining us today, Friday, it's a weekend tomorrow. Sorry, I just had to say that.
Excited ka na mag-weekend na.
I'm excited for the weekend kasi alam mo, pag nag-weekend, ibig sabihin lumalapit ang Monday.
Ganun ba yun? That's,
Excited ako sa trabaho. Anyway,
ganda
sorry.
naman ang logic mo. It feels like a long week kasi ang daming nangyari.
Daming nangyari.
Daming nangyari.
O teka, ito muna si Tito Ronald is joining us via Zoom dahil siya'y busy sa mga meeting niya na sasabihin ba natin kung saan siya nag-meeting?
Sabihin mo na.
Dito lang sa tabi-tabi.
Tabi-tabi.
Happy weekend! Happy weekend!
Happy weekend, Tito Ronald, ang ating...
Kasi wala pa ang weekend eh. Lunes na kagad yung na-excite na kagad sa Lunes.
Na-excite ako sa trabaho.
Si Ed lang yun. Si Bok lang yun. Okay, and from the Philippine Star, of course, Editor-in-Chief, Ami Pamintuan. Hi, Ami.
Hi, Ami.
Happy weekend. Mukhang aliw na aliw kayo dun sa mga joke ni BP Sara.
Hindi, parang ano eh. Parang wala na talagang, it's like all-out war. Medyo nagulat lang ako. Hindi naman sa natatawa, pero nagulat lang ako at what she said na paano natin dadalhin doon. Kidnapin na rin.
Akala ko nagulat ka doon sa sinabi niya na ako bala sa ticket yung lahat.
Oo. I mean, I know it's a campaign and people tend to say outrageous things sa campaign rallies. Pero she is still the vice president. She is still a sitting officer of the land, right? So parang medyo nabigla lang ako doon.
Well, you had the president before.
But you had her threatening the president before. That's also true.
No, you had the president before who would say more outrageous things in his speeches, di ba?
Yeah. Sa bagay. So, medyo babaan ko ba yung ano?
After the last 6 years, well, it's not really...
Oo nga. Mabait-bait pa yan. Oo, may mabait-bait pa yan. May sense of humor.
Oh, at least yun, ano.
Para sa mga baboy.
Ha?
Tito Ronald,
Meron na pinayagan na yung pagkain na pa fit for the...
Para mga
Pinayagan na ng COMELEC na i-distribute. They needed an exemption from the COMELEC para mag-distribute ng rice na yon.
You're talking about the 20 peso rice?
Yes.
Ano daw sa mga baboy?
Pinayagan na. Saka nag-issue ng statement ng Malacanang, wag daw maniniwala sa mga disinformation na kumakalat ngayon about the 20 a kilo rice. Yan.
Actually, I'd
Yan
like
ang
to see
mga
that sana. When are they gonna start selling that? In the Visayas?
Within the kasi you need the COMELEC exemption eh. So within this campaign period, kaya
Only 2 weeks
dinidiin ng mga Duterte camp na it's related to the election. Kasi daw sa Visayas, mababa sila administration candidates, kaya doon yung pilot. At ang laki na nga natin, that's a subsidized price.
Yeah,
Taxpayers
imagine
will be
so,
paying
at 20 pesos.
4.5 billion. Minimum, 4.5 billion.
Ami, namigay na sa presidente 3 days ago.
Actually, I was gonna say, nag-launch na to, actually.
Presidente yun.
Yeah, pero iba kasi if the president starts handing out rice, of course
Yes.
you can assume that's going to be better quality than the usual stuff that they would sell. Yung
Pag si presidente,
maganda kasi makita yung talagang binibenta as is. Hindi yung bahagi ng
Yan na nga.
seremonya.
Subsidized naman yan eh. Sa konting-konti, well, relatively konti dahil milyon-milyon din yung metric tons na subsidized na yan. Tingnan natin, madaling masira ang bigas eh. So, at saka kung galing yan dun sa NFA na matagal nang naka-store, di ba, meron ng controversy doon in the first place. Yung mga pamimigay sana ng LGU, di ba?
Yung dapat
Meron
for
na yung controversy.
yung dapat for emergencies and for
dapat
disasters.
for buffer
Yes.
stock. Pero they keep insisting na kasya naman daw. It's more than enough for times of crises. I don't know how accurate that is. Pero ang alam natin at this point is they're trying to roll out this 20 pesos a kilo rice nationwide. Pero wala lang nga details at this point. But Ronald is
Pilot
correct,
lang.
nag-pilot na sila sa Visayas.
But the thing kasi with buffer
Pero
stocks,
gastos nun,
kailangan mo i-rotate yan eh. Kasi yung sabi nga ni Ami,
Oh.
masisira yan eh.
Oh.
Especially ngayon, walang masyadong bagyo ngain the past few months eh.
Yes.
So,
Kasi summer
di na ipamimigay
period pa.
siguro yung mga yung mga bigas as disaster and relief supplies eh. So, yun. Mas mabagal ang turnover.
Ang sabi ng SINAG, for 20 a kilo rice, we will be subsidizing 14 pesos.
14,
Sabi
1/4.
niya, 14
How much?
pesos.
1/4.
14. Out of the 20, subsidy natin 14 pesos. Kaya nag-aalala din ngayon ng SINAG kasi yung palay daw, baka bumagsak yung farm gate price dun sa mga lugar na ibebenta yan dahil kailangan daw minimum farm gate, kailangan ng farmers 18. 18 pesos farm gate palay.
Pero
So,
Ami,
hindi natin alam kung ano magiging epekto niyan.
Kung 14 pesos ang subsidy for the 20 peso rice,
Yes.
basically 34 dapat yan kung sakaling binenta. As is.
Yun naman talaga yung
subsidy.
minimum, di ba? NFA. NFA,
Okay.
Actually, may mga stock na na hindi nagagamit. Mga buffer na
Oh, yun.
Ikalawa, rated lang nila yung mga major hoarders ng rice. Marami yun, malaking bahagi yun ng market, yung mga nag-hoard. Pero maraming nag-hoard kasi hinihintay na i-manipulate yung price. Pinapataas nila, so nag-hoard sila. Alam ng gobyerno kung nasan yan, dahil hiding in plain sight yan I-raid lang yan, meron na silang supply No, dyan. Tapos meron silang mabibili, halimbawa sa Myanmar, na murang rice, na pwedeng yung subsidy ay less than 10 pesos kung ibebenta nila ng 20.
Less
So
than
maraming
10?
paraan. At kung maaabot nila yung 30% ng market, yung 70% pwedeng mag-adjust din ng presyo. Yung mga nagbebenta. Paano kung yung ibabagsak mo, ida-download mo ay less than 10%, hindi niya maapektuhan yung prices ng rice. Pero kung mga 30% yan, pwede mo apektuhan yung buong market ng rice. So
pero,
gaano karami ba yung kanilang idadump?
but I remember
Konti lang.
a year or two ago, they had a series of high-profile supposed raids on
Raids.
orders.
Raids.
I see supposed raids kasi nag-raid sila, dumating si Speaker, dumating si Congressman Erwin Tulfo and all that.
Yes.
Tapos the argument was, it's not hoarding, ganun. So I don't know what happened since then
Yes.
kasi tumigil.
No, nag-push back yung mga
Sa-
traders, sabi nila, Di naman kami nagre-release sabay-sabay talaga
Oo
ng
nga.
bigas namin.
Mm.
Sa Bulacan
Which is
yan.
true, no? It makes sense.
Yeah, these
Oh,
raids
yan ang
that
sinasabi
you're
nila.
talking about were in Bulacan, sa Bukawi.
Yes. Yan ang sabi nila.
So may
Kaya I
ganung
don't
back and
think may
forth eh.
kinahinatnan yun eh. May mga
Oo.
pinailan ng kaso. Walang nangyari.
Oo nga eh. Parang we've been talking about hoarding for so long and cartels for so long.
Walang nangyayari. Kasi yun ang mga sinasabi nila. Sabi nila, we're just businessmen. We're practicing good business
Good business
business
practice.
sense daw nila yon, di ba? Na binabantayan mo yung market, meron pa kang tumataya nga daw sa futures di ba? Sa ibang commodities.
That's
Yun ang
it's
sinasabi
all-
nila.
Totoo naman yun. That's how capitalism works. That's how the free market
Yes.
works. Pero, the other issue I remember with those raids sa Bulacan was that the authority said, hinahalo yung bigas. So, hinahalo yung premium grade
Yung low grade din, ano?
premium grade grains with the low grade ones nire-repackage
Para
tapos
mahal,
yun yung
no? Iba
binibenta.
naman yun.
So
Iba
that's
naman yun,
clearly
oo.
illegal. So I don't know bakit
Illegal yun.
I don't know why they couldn't
Right,
have pinned them on that.
Although, medyo mahirap-hirap yun. Alam niyo, mga Pilipino, magaling ng quality ng rice
Yung-
Yan nga yung sinasabi. Alam nila kung ano yung maganda. Yeah, you will detect immediately kung may halo yan Sa amoy lang Ako bumibili ko pakyawan pero inaamoy ko Mag-iiba yan Magkakaroon yan ng ibang kung haluan ng masama.
Tito Ronald, you might wanna reconnect kasi medyo choppy ka. Nag-choppy yung audio mo. You might want to
Na
reconnect
parang
again.
nag-freeze
Oo.
Nag-freeze ka ba, Ronald?
Oo.
Hindi, ayan, ayan.
Alam mo, subukan mo kuha ka ng panibagong linya.
Okay.
Reconnect. Kasi nagaganon-ganon ka.
And naging once again, naging political issue ng atong rice. It's always been a political
Yes.
issue, pero even more so now kasi
Parang walang resolution parati.
walang resolution parati.
Kasi
Parang may series of high-profile raids, like you said, tapos
we keep
bigla it
getting
goes
that.
quiet. It goes quiet, diba?
Hindi kaya
Pero,
naging issue because of the timing. Tama rin yung ibang critic di ba? You're 3 years away from election day at bumabagsak yung rating ng administrasyon.
Yeah.
Bigla ka mag-roll out neto na kailangan bayaran ng taxpayer yung subsidy. Hindi ba? Tapos kailangan mo pang kumuha ng exemption sa COMELEC. Bakit ganun? So,
And it
if
harks
it's not
back-
related to the election.
Yeah. And the supposed price harks back to the 2022 promise of 20 pesos.
Yes.
well, kaya nga, so
The
that's why...
20 promise is a market price, ha? That's
Market
subsidized
price.
Kasi kung mag-subsidize ka, pamigay mo na lang yung diba?
Kasi kung sinubsidize mo, di tayo rin nagbayad.
Pa na 10 piso.
Anyway,
You're talking about the market
Kaya
price.
nga, dun sa press release ng government, when they announced this, sabi nila, this is a campaign promise fulfilled, 20 pesos a kilo rice. Tapos,
Hindi, that's hindi ba? Hindi naman tama yun.
and then tinira
Ang,
ni
ang pangako mo is market price
Oo.
Na you allow the market forces to bring down the price to 20. Yun ang inaasahan natin.
otherwise, yun nga, tayo nga nagbabayad ng ano.
Tayo lang, binabalik.
We're subsidizing.
Paikot-ikot lang yung pera natin yun. Pera natin yun.
Okay, Bok?
Oh.
We have to pivot, bring in our first guest today, Antonio Contreras, political science professor at De La Salle University. Welcome to StoryCon. Good afternoon, Professor.
Hi, sir. Ganda hapon.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Just a slight correction. I'm no longer with the De La Salle University.
Okay.
I'm with UP. I'm back to UP Los Baños.
UP Los Baños.
Okay.
Pol-sci pa rin, sir.
Okay.
Oh yeah, applied poli-sci kasi may program can a PhD in environmental diplomacy and negotiations.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well,
I'm in that
actually,
particular program.
yeah. So, okay. So, we invited you on the show today to talk about politics.
Yes.
Beginning with
Endorsements.
yung ano?
Endorsements.
Endorsements, that's right. Yung latest is that Vice President Leni Robredo endorsed former Senator Manny Pacquiao at saka si
Abalos.
former DILG Secretary Benher Abalos, which did not sit well with a lot of her supporters. How did you see it?
Well, may mga nababasa tayo ngayon ng mga analysis ng mga tao na ito daw ay bahagi ng campaign ni dating Vice President Leni Robredo na pragmatic politics, na kung saan ang politika ngayon ay kailangan maging realistika kung paano ang tingin. At ang iba naman, tinitingnan ito na hudyat na bahagi ito ng pagkilos para mapigilan ang pagdami ng mga pro-Duterte ng mga kandidato sa na manalo. May mga analysis nagsasabi na pag tinulungan ng mga Makaleni si dating Senador Manny Pacquiao at si Benhur Abalos ay ay mai-ease out yung ibang mga senatorial candidates sa katulad ni Camille Villar at ni Amy Marcos. Alam mo naman itong mga to, nagpupukpukan to sa last 2 slots eh. Yung mga pangalan na to. So kung pwedeng umangat si Benhur, si Manny Pacquiao kasi sa mga surveys nasa loob na ng ng Magic Circle.
Yeah, Magic 12.
So sa Magic 12. So matulungan si Benhur, baka ma-ease out si Camille at makapasok din, lumabas din lalo, ibig sabihin lalong maging slim ang chance na makapasok sa Magic 12 si Amy. Pero itong ganito klaseng analysis kasi is kind of faulty kasi it assumes that in order for this to be a tactic, dapat may equal force galing naman sa mga Marcos supporters na dapat ibinuboto din nila si Bam at
Si Bam at si Kiko.
Kasi kung gusto nila lang i-post si Bam at saka si Kiko, dapat ini-endorso din ng alyansa tong dalawa. Para alalahanin natin ang alyansa, na lang, 11. Tapos, kasi wala na si Amy. Si Camille ay mukhang nung in-endorso ni Sara, parang wala na rin siya. So may dalawang kailangan pang i-fill out na slot. So para makapasok itong dalawa si Bam at saka si Kiko, kailangan may open endorsement at kailangan may pagkilos din. So this is something that is really, if I see it, in order if that was really the move of the former vice president, then there has to be some kind of I would say a deal,
A trade-off.
a trade-off with the other side.
Pero Prof, hindi kaya posible na na they're going to do that second part of the trade-off quietly kasi at the same time kasi baka magkaroon din ng backlash kung sumapi very overtly yung grupo ni Kiko at ni Bam doon sa alyansa. Is it possible that they are also doing it quietly lamang? Alam mo naman, usually operations ng sa election sa last day or two eh.
Yeah, posible. Posible naman yon. Posibleng quietly, posibleng hindi na lang sabihin. Kaya lang, kampanya to kailangan i-articulate mo kasama sa optics yung pag-articulate sa media, sa social media, hindi ito bulungan. Alam mo naman yan ang politika, hindi nyo pwedeng pupuntahan ka sa bahay, wala nang door-to-door din ngayon. Masyado, meron ang kampanya ngayon, open. Social media na-amplify yung ina-amplify mo sa internet, ina-amplify natin sa ganitong mga discussion platforms. So, posible yun na meron ding pagkilos at maaaring sa bandang huli na ng eleksyon. Pero yun nga, ang sinasabi ko lang dito, in order for that deal to happen, while Lenny is pushing for Benhur and Manny Pacquiao, then there has to be the other side who should also be pushing for the inclusion of Bam and Kiko. Otherwise, if wala yun, aakyat lang ang boto ni Benhur at ni Manny Pacquiao, pero hindi ko alam kung aakyat ang boto ni Bam at ni Kiko.
Pero pwede naman talaga, Professor, yung sinasabi ni Ed, di ba? Alam naman natin dito, pati yung junking ginagawa yan, kung baga under the table yan sa kampanya In the final days or siguro last 10 days ng mararamdaman na natin yan pag pinagalaw na yung machinery,
Yung
mga parties. Alam natin pag gumalaw na yung makinarya, bulungan na lang yan sa grassroots
Makikita
yung mga
mo-
barangay, yung mga huwag nyo nang iboto yan, eto na ang boto nyo, hindi ba? Meron tayong ganyan
Makikita mo rin naman yan sa sample ballots. Kaya lang sinasabi ko lang kasi, ang ating lente ngayon, ginagamitan pa rin natin ng traditional politics. Pero karamihan kasi ngayon sa politika, kahit nasa grassroots, ay internet mediated na rin po. Hindi na siya katulad ng dati. So, maaring it will work. I'm saying that there are still places where you can do the bulungan type. But ang sinasabi ko lang, for it to gain traction, there has to be some noise also created. So, it has to be articulated. Kasi ang nanganganak yan, ang ngayon, ang bulungan ngayon sa SOCMED, hindi na hindi na lang masyado ngayon sa yung mag-house to house. Hindi ko nga alam ngayon, bihira na yata ako nakakita na nag-house to house ngayon.
Meron. Marami pa.
Pero
Pati sila ba ito nag-house to house
Pero Ami,
I doubt it if the house to house works.
Ami, in relation sa sinasabi mo, ay yung 2.5 months ng campaign or even before the official campaign, talagang dominant dyan yung market campaign yung yung dominant yan. Pero itong last 2 weeks, nag-shift na yan papuntang machinery. Ibig sabihin, yan na yung kakausapin na dyan, yung mga LGUs.
Yung mga leaders na ang kakausapin.
Lalo na,
Yes.
kaya malakas ang administration during the midterm dahil sila yung may access to sa mga LGUs mayors, governors. So, kaya kung sakaling merong soft or secret endorsement yung gobyerno doon sa isang independent at isang opposition, no, ay makakatulong yun sa kanila para masigurado. Kaya baka may ganong klaseng mga secret negotiations dahil na hindi naman dominant na yung market o yung air war during the last 2 weeks. Machinery na pinag-uusapan dyan. Boat conversion at saka yung boat protection. Kaya dyan papasok yung lakas ng administration. Dyan papasok. Ang katapat
Baka naman may marites ka nga dyan, Ronald. Baka naman may marites ka ngayon kung ano retest. Baka pwede mo na ikwento sa amin.
Ang katapat lang ng administration ay yung Iglesia ni Cristo na may ganyang klaseng capacity to negotiate with the LGUs. Yun yung katapat nila. Not the PTB Laban. Yung PDP Laban medyo mahina na yan in relation sa LGUs. Ang medyo malakas hanggang ngayon ay yung Iglesia ni Cristo. Yan ang katapat ng gobyerno. Diyan mo makikita sino mas malakas. Pero syempre, lamang ang gobyerno dahil may 3 years pa si BBM Meron pa siya 3 years. At dun worry yung mga LGUs. Ano yung mawawala sa kanila kung kumakantagonize sila yung gobyerno? No, yun yung mahalaga sa kanila.
Prof,
At yan, makikita yan sa sample ballots.
Prof, let me ask you this then. Kasi I've been seeing some feedback na hindi masyadong positive dun sa endorsement ni Leni Robredo. I'm wondering lang if in any way itong endorsement ni Leni of Ben-Hur and Pacquiao could also undermine, for example, the image and the reputation of Robredo.
Not just her,
Well,
but yung party din.
and the party,
Kasi
yeah.
mahirap hiwalay yung personal endorsement sa party endorsement, right? People still see her as the figurative head of the Liberal Party.
As to whether it's going to affect her candidacy in Naga City, I don't think so. She's running virtually unopposed. Wala naman siyang kalaban doon na substantial. So hindi maka-apekto sa winning chances niya. At hindi naman ngayon projected masyado yung image ni Leni as the leader of the opposition this time. Because this is a midterms at mukhang ang lumalabas pa nga parang opposition ngayon, mga Duterte. So yun yung sa tingin kong hindi rin masyado makaka-apekto sa kanya ngayon. I think yung sinabi kanina ni Ronald, I agree. I think it's more the machinery. And this is where yung mga, kung nag-iisip yung mga gustong i-push si Bam at saka si Kiko, dapat malaman nila na ang winning chances ni Bam at si Kiko actually will rest on whether they will be endorsed by quietly or otherwise by the administration machinery. That's what's going to push them up. Kasi yun yung magmimin ngayon, yun yung merong magre-resonate ngayon sa botante na at the last 2 weeks. The final 2 weeks. Nakita naman natin na nag-stabilize yung nakikita na natin yung mga numbers ngayon sa survey, medyo nakita mo sino yung delikado, sino yung sa last 2 sino nagpupukpukan, makikita mo doon. Kaya it's going to be important yung endorsement na yon. Yung ginawa ni Leni na pag-push kay mas kailangan yun actually ni Ben-Hur. Kasi si Pacquiao mukhang safe naman na doon sa Magic 12.
At tama yung sabi ni Prof na wala masyadong pushback ito dahil hindi naman tumatakbo si Leni for president or senator. Tumatakbo siya as mayor ng Naga City. Tapos kung may epekto ito, ang epekto nito ay 3 years from now, karamihan sa tao nakalimutan na yan. No? At may bago na ng narrative dyan. Kung sakaling tatakbo si Leni for national position. No? Kaya yung pushback ay ang kailangan lang naman ni Pacquiao at saka ni Abalos ay hindi naman yung buong pink wave whatever is left of that. Hindi naman yun ang kailangan niya. Ang kailangan lang naman nila pandagdag Pandagdag para makasigurado sila or for Abalos para pumasok sa Magic 12. Ang problema ni Bam at saka ni Kiko, they're practically fighting for the last seat. No? So, most probably, isa sa kanila makakapasok if by any chance. No? At para mangyari yan, ay kailangan silang i-adapt or gawing guest ng administration. Kaya hindi ako magugulat kung may ganong klaseng quid pro quo. Hindi ako privy sa mga ganong klaseng negotiation. Pero hindi ako magugulat kung may ganong klaseng quid pro quo dito sa endorsement
Yeah.
na to. At least for one.
Prof, pivot ko lang na konti, no? What about yung endorsement ni VP Duterte, Sara Duterte kay Congresswoman Camille Villar, tsaka yung kay Senator Amy Marcos? Of course, we kind of can all tell what the politics is behind it, but officially, hindi pa umalis ng alyansa si Camille, right? And si Senator Amy keeps insisting she's still independent. What did you think when you saw that?
Actually, yung alam naman kasi natin na si Senator Marcos nag-struggle. Lahat ng major service ngayon out na siya sa Magic 12. Si Camille nasa loob pa, although medyo delikado. So mas kailangan ni Senator Marcos yung endorsement na Sara. Ang problema, siguro si Digong Duterte may ibang in-endorse. Ang in-endorse ni Digong Duterte si Honasan at saka si Kerubin. So makikita mo doon merong nagkontrahan yung mag-ama. So hindi solido, bukod sa hindi solido yung Duterte brand para sa kanila. At the same time, hindi rin pati natin alam kung ang diehard Duterte supporters makukumbinse na iboto yung dalawa. So there is no certainty. Ang iba, ang tingin nila sa mga ito, parang hindi naman genuine na pro-Duterte, ginagamit lang si Sara, etc. So, I think mas may, ano pa nga na, ako nga sa tingin ko, mas madali pang mapakiusapan ang pro-admin base para i-adapt ang isang kay Bam o kay Kiko kaysa yung Duterte supporters maging open sa sabihin na natin pagbabalimbing ni Camille o kaya ni Amy.
Yan ang problema pag namamangka ka sa dalawang ilog. Tapos yung dalawang ilog, parehas ka na-reject.
Ayun na nga.
Ah. Professor, anong tingin mo sa endorsement ni VP Sara? Endorsement power niya in Metro Manila. Kasi nag-endorse siya kay Isko. Malakas ba siya dito? Sa tingin mo? Well, we know that talagang napakalakas ng mga Duterte sa Mindanao and parts of the Visayas. Pero dito sa Metro Manila.
I could not understand kasi from what I heard is mataas naman ang ranking ni Isko kumpara sa kalaban niya. Kay Hanil Lacuna.
Malayo.
Malayong yung survey, so I don't know why she has to do that. I'm kind of perplexed. He doesn't need the endorsement of Sara Duterte to win Manila. So parang ako, medyo nagsimamarites. So parang baka naman iba yung... Ito yung klase ng endorsement. Akala mo ini-endorse pero gusto kang sirain. Diba? Pwede yung ganon, di ba? Na parang, alam mo na, kasi hindi naman niya kailangan eh. Sabi ko, bakit pa kailangan? Hindi na kailangan ng Isko. It's more, I think it's more of Sara doing, I think, the move. She's trying to make a point.
To your point about you don't know whether it's gonna work for Senator Marcos and Congresswoman Villar, hindi ba you don't feel na merong maraming tao who will begrudgingly vote for them? Case in point, si former spokesperson Harry Roque, who issued a statement saying, okay, I don't trust Senator Marcos, pero okay, in-endorse siya ni VP Sara, so he'll go with her.
Well, yeah, it's possible.
Hindi naman siya makakaboto.
It's possibly going to help her, but actually na-endorse na siya ni Sara nang mangyari yung one survey after. Hindi naman masyadong umakyat yung ranking niya. So I think that's an indication. At saka yung counter move naman kasi dito, yun namang i-junk siya ng mga loyalist, di ba? Yun yung problema doon. Yung mga Marcos supporters, hindi siya dadalhin. So dahil nakikita na nibando na ni nung kapatid ni Manang yung kanyang bunsong kapatid. So yun yung maaring maging epekto kaya siguro lahat ng surveys ngayon kung titingnan mo, kung hindi siya 13, 14, meron pang 15. At si Camille pumapasok minsan 11, 10, 12.
Actually, kailangan natin ng tanungin yung mga survey firms tungkol dun sa endorsement data. Ano yung nakita ko lang a year ago, ay mas mataas ang endorsement ni Digong kaysa kay Vice President Sara. At at this point, dahil magkaiba sila ng in-endorse, no, ay hindi ko sigurado kung sino ang mas mataas. Pero Lately kasi wala akong nakitang survey about endorsement power. No?
Yeah.
Dahil magandang kwan yan i-survey ng
Does
mga credible major survey firms kung ano bang endorsement power ni Lenny, ano bang endorsement power ni BBM, anong endorsement power ni Digong, ni Sara, no? Lately wala akong nakita.
Well, actually, meron kaunting akong nabasa before na hindi masyadong ganun ang epekto ng mga endorsement. Kasama na kasi doon yung mga endorsement ng artista. Ganun. So, endorsement in general. But I don't know whether the specific siya pag tao ng pinag-uusapan, si Sara o si Digong, baka mag-iba yung data. Pero yung general na celebrity endorsements doesn't work. Hindi na significant effect. So, yun ang dapat aralin yan. Maraming dapat aralin ng surveys Kasi maraming conflicting result. Kung titingnan mo, sinasabi ng survey na 70% ng mga Filipinos ay ayaw sa isang kandidatong pro-China. Pero tingnan mo si Bongo ang number 1. So yun yung may mga inconsistencies na gustong mas maraming Pilipino ang sa tingin ay dapat ang tama yung pagkaka-arrest kay dating Pangulong Duterte at dapat panagutin siya sa ICC, pero tingnan mo naman malaki pa rin ang boto na natatanggap na biglang umaakyat. Actually umaakyat yung kahit hindi nakakapasok sa Magic 12, umakyat yung mga numbers ng mga pro-Duterte candidates. Tapos andyan din yung point na dapat titingnan natin ano ba talaga yung correlation ng ganito. Ang tingin ba kasi kay Bongo ay pro-China o si Bongo ang tingin? So, meron bang confusion na pag tinanong mo specifically on an issue, may sagot na iba, pero pag tukol sa kandidato, nalilimutan na yung issue, ang tao na ang tinitingnan.
Hindi nadidikit yung kandidato doon sa issue.
Oo, na parang pag iba yung sagot, ayoko na maka-China. Pero hindi tinitingnan si Bongo na pro-China. Ganon. Or ito nga si De La Rosa, di ba may survey ngayon ng WR numero. Na sabi nila ay parang approve ang mga botante na dapat i-arrest din yung mga na involved sa drug war. Di ba? At isa sa nga daw sa mga nangangalanan na si Bato. Ay, pero si Bato nandun sa Magic 12, nasa top 5 ba yata. Di ba? So, I think what should happen now is that all the survey firms must really come together. I think there must be some kind of a reflection. Kasi ang nami-mention, alam mo naman ng survey, kahit scientific yan. Kahit scientific yung survey, tama pagkakagawa. Dapat tingnan na natin, iba na ngayon ng political culture, influence na masyado ng noise, ingay, ng disinformation, ng fake news. So, ang nami-measure mo scientifically, ang ill-informed electorate. So, surveys are important in a democracy as long as reason prevails. However, if you use it, you're just amplifying the noise, and then that noise is scientifically measured by a scientific survey. So, ang tingin ko mag-iba dapat, maraming na dapat cross-tabulations kayo. Sabi ko nga sa mga kilala kong mga nagsasurvey, sa social science naman, napapalalim natin ang ating pag-understand, di ba? Nagka-triangulate nga tayo pag gusto nating alamin ang data. Hindi tayo dapat nag-rely lang sa survey. Meron tayong focus group discussion, meron tayong key informant interview, meron tayong cross-tabulations. Kasi ngayon, napaka two-dimensional, one-dimensional mga surveys. Ano lang, horse race lang pinapakita. Sinong number 3, hindi mo kino-correlate na ang mga taong pabor sa kandidato X ay hindi alam itong issue na to.
Yeah.
Wala tayong ganyan data. So wala tayong hindi malalim yung pag-i-interpret ng numbers.
Yeah.
And I think that should be done.
Yeah.
Kasi pag hindi mo yung ginawa, ang mga ang nami-measure ng survey ngayon, ingay.
Tama.
That's interesting.
We agree.
Yeah, that's interesting,
We've been saying it for a while now. We need more nuancing when it comes to interpreting this. But I'm sorry, Prof, kasi we've run out of time.
Yeah.
So we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for joining
Thank you, sir.
StoryCon.
Thank you
Political
for
Science
having me.
Professor at UP
Thank
Los
you,
Baños,
Professor.
Bye-bye.
Antonio Contreras. You're watching StoryCon on One News. We just need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We've got developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay. Still with us, Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. Do we have him? Nasa zoo.
Nawala.
Nawala.
Na-traffic si Ronald.
Si Ronald, bigla nilang nag-a-appear, bigla nawawala. We never
Oo.
know. So,
Yeah.
Mabuti pa yung halfway around the world. Nandiyan
Lulubog
na.
okay. Sorry, Ami, ano yun?
Si Joby nakikita ko.
Oo nga. So, let's
Hindi
get
si
the
Ronald.
latest from the Vatican. We have Jovi Francisco joins us live from there. Jovi, what's the latest?
Hi, Reds. Hello, Ma'am Ami and Ed. Lumabas muna tayo ng Vatican City for today's coverage. Regina, andito tayo sa Papal Basilica of Mary Major dahil nga ina-anticipate natin na tomorrow sobrang stricto na dito dahil dito nga gagawin yung paglilibing. So pinuntahan na natin at as expected, of course, mas maraming tao na nagpupunta na rito at in advance silang tumitigil para makita yung paghihimlayan ng mga labi ni Pope Francis sa loob ng Basilica na ito. Ang daming tao, maaga tayo nandito, siguro mga 6 o'clock pa lang nandito na tayo, pero ang dami ng nakapila para makapasok sa loob. And Regina and Ma'am Ami, nakapasok na ako sa loob before this live report. So to give an idea kung saan matatagpuan yung puntod ni Pope Francis kung saan siya iimlay bukas after yung funeral rites sa Vatican. Pagpasok mo ay nasa bandang kaliwa siya. It's very near the main altar, pero it's nearer to this chapel or mini chapel within this basilica kung saan sinasabi na talagang laging pinupuntahan ni Pope Francis every time na siya galing abroad, pagbalik niya ay dito sa nagdarasal. That's the chapel of Mama Mary kung saan sinasabi na meron ding relic doon nung crib ni Baby Jesus. Yun ang sinasabi doon sa inscription doon sa loob.
Tapos, Joby, I understand that, if I got it right, that basilica, portions of it date back to the 4th or 5th century. It's one of the older structures
That's
there.
true. Tama, Ed.
Diyan siya tumira, no? Diyan siya tumira.
Hindi, Ma'am Ami, ito yung pinupuntahan niya para magdasal. Yung tumira siya, yung
Yung ano niya, yung devotion niya.
Santa Marta.
Santa Marta yun. This is St. Mary.
Pinanggalingan nung mga remains na nung nakaraan.
Nalito rin ako rin eh.
Anong atmosphere dyan ngayon? Kasi dito sa atin, Joby, yun daw lahat ng simbahan sa Malolos magtotoling daw ng bell ng 88 times bukas simula 4 o'clock. Which is the time of the burial dito, local time sa Maynila. Diyan sa Vatican, kumusta naman yung mga ringing of the bells?
Well, ganun din ang mangyayari, Ma'am Ami. Pero kung dito naman sa Maggiore, sa ngayon ay tuloy-tuloy yung parang may mga rosary sila. Aside from yung mamaya, pag-uusapan natin yung pinamunuan ni Cardinal Tagle last night. Pero mas sige ngayon, ongoing yung ibang pag-pray ng rosary at yung confession. At may mga available, or sabi may mga pare around the Basilica na kumakausap doon sa mga tao at ginagabayan sila kung saan yung lugar kung saan ililibing at yung significance nun.
So you've talked to Cardinal Tagle na ano yung ginawa niya kagabi? Nag-prayer na siya?
Walang interviews kagabi, Ma'am Ami. I mean, that's very understandable. Pero yung kagabi siya yung nag-lead ng fourth praying of the rosary in line with the wake of Pope Francis. Dito ginawa yon sa Basilica na ito, yung ika-4 na edisyon nun. So siya yung nag-lead nun. So mga pananalita niya centered more on the legacy of Pope Francis and walang anything connected sa conclave.
Joby, tama ba yung funeral mass where you will have all the world leaders taking part in it, I suppose, dun sa Vatican gagawin, dun sa Basilica of St. Peter.
Peter's Basilica.
Tapos the remains will be transported there via procession. That's around 4 kilometers layo yun, ha? So is it going to be
Bali, kanina nag-travel ako from very near yung lugar ko saan nagsistay yung media, no, from sa Vatican. So it took me around mga 20 to 25 minutes to reach this basilica kung saan ihimlay si Pope Francis. I-add ko na rin doon, Ed, Regina, and Ma'am Ami, na tomorrow, ang isang sure na scenario, pagdating dito ng procession, dala-dala yung remains ni Pope Francis. Ang sasalubong sa kanya dito sa steps sa likod ko, hindi ko lang kung nakikita yung may steps dyan, ay ang sinabi yon, distinct na kadal-kamiling bilinan sa will yun ni Pope Francis na the poor and the needy ang gusto niyang sumalubong sa kanya dito. So ang alam namin ay pre-selected na sila at of course hindi naman sila available for any interview. Pero yun ang unang magaganap dito before pumasok sa loob ng Basilica.
Pero Joby, sabi yung 20 minutes is from where the media stay going to St. Mary's. Pero I'm wondering how far it is and how long it would take from St. Peter's to St. Mary's, which
Parang
will be
gusto
the
ko
route
buksan
tomorrow.
yung Uber ko, nakalagay din yung mileage. Pero it's really outside the Vatican City.
Oo.
Mas malapit ito sa Colosseum. Hindi ko alam kung paano ko i-describe
Sorry,
yung
never been
distance.
there.
Pero mas malapit sa doon sa mga area na yun.
It's about 4 kilometers, Niba.
That's what I saw.
Santa Maria Maggiore is about 4 kilometers from
Yeah. Yes,
the
kind of.
main
Yes.
basilica, St.
Tatawid pa ng
Peter's
ilog eh.
Basilica. And yun nga, as we were saying, this is a big break from tradition because most popes are buried right there sa St. Peter's Basilica because it's the biggest and the grandest basilica. Pero si Pope Francis chose to be buried at Santa Maria Maggiore, St. Mary Major, which is kind of outside, Vatican grounds pa rin, pero outside the main plaza.
But if it's a procession, is it a procession on foot, I suppose, di ba?
Should be, oo.
So,
Kasi
medyo
It
mahaba,
will be-
medyo matagal-tagal yan.
Nakita ko na, Ed, Regina, and Ma'am Abby, nakita ko na naglagay na ng mga barricades sa route ang Italian and Vatican police. May kita ko may mga yellow ribbons na sila na kung saan yung ruta papunta dito. So tama kayo. Maglalakad.
Kasi baka medyo matagal-tagal yan ng kaunti. Kung I'm checking kasi with of course this is Google Maps. Not exactly the most exact way of doing things. Pero just to give you an idea, mga anywhere from 4 to 7 kilometers depending on what route you take. That's a bit distant if you're going to go on foot with Now, will the remains be on a vehicle while the procession proceeds, or will he be borne by anybody?
You have a point, Ed. Malayo yun para merong pallbearers. So we'll ask that later. Merong briefing para sa media after lunch para doon sa mga magiging programa tomorrow or kung ano yung magiging mga logistics dyan.
Oh, kasi it could also be by carriage, as for example was
as
done
in
with,
the past.
was done with JFK, or pwedeng on a vehicle like what was done with the Cory Aquino here when he was buried in 2009.
Joby, may na-meet ka na bang mga Philippine officials dyan so far?
Philippine officials sa Ma'am Ami, wala pa. Busy tayo dun sa pila eh. Mga Pilipino talaga yung naging punteriya ng mga interviews natin. Humabol sila dahil ngayon, ang mangyayari ay yung closing of the coffin. Merong isang ritual doon or parang seremonya mamayang 8:00 ng gabi dito sa Vatican. It will be attended by the cardinals will be attending that at saka yung mga officials ng Holy See. So pagkatapos na masil yun, of course, tapos na rin yung public viewing. So hindi sa abot ng magdamag ng Friday to Saturday. And so marami kaming alam na talagang humabol na kanina kahit madaling araw, mga Filipinos. At na-interview natin ng ilan na talagang humabol sila dahil nga they want to catch a glimpse of the remains of Pope Francis.
Okay, we'll leave that there. Thank you for that report, Jovi from Cisco, reporting live from the Vatican City.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joby.
Okay, do we still have Ronald? Wala na.
No, hindi na nakabalik si Ronaldo.
Wala eh.
Baka nag-thank God it's Friday siya.
Or baka may I
May
mean,
meeting
there's-
na naman.
Oo, may meeting na naman that classified meeting that we're not privy to.
That's why
because-
he's called the International Man of Mystery. Austin Power Sing Peg. Okay, before we go, we'd like to invite you to join a Bilang Pilipino 2025 special, the Manindigan Debate, to be hosted by Corina Sanchez, airing on Sunday, April 27, 10 p.m. on One News.
And this debate is about
Parang sino mas paniniwalaan mo?
versus
Media
the influencers and the content creators. Nako, that's gonna be a hairy debate kasi
Yeah, let them debate. Let's not be those
don't we need each other? Each has a place, no? In a
That's true.
democratic society.
That is true.
Right? Pero yun nga, the issue right now is disinformation, not just in relation to the elections, but remember, one of our top stories this week was disinformation allegedly being spawned by the Chinese embassy in the Philippines. Yun yung subject ng hearing ni Senator Francis Tolentino this week, and wherein he...
May sarili silang influencers.
Pero alam mo meron kang point because a lot of these things, when we talk about disinformation, kala mo it's all underground, it's all illegal, but a lot of these things are legal.
Yeah.
Right?
Lobbying is
legal.
legal.
Anyway, it's
At kumakalat daw global, ha? There's an Associated Press report today. Or siguro, recent Association, AP report na kalat na nga daw yung mga ganyan. Disinformation, that apart from cyber scam, emanating from Asia and spreading globally.
sa
Asia,
pa
minention tayo, kasama Pilipinas.
as ground zero of this disinformation ulit.
Yeah.
Nako.
So again, we're number one in something.
You know, the potent mix there is a lot of really, it's a very young population. Tapos, people need jobs, right? So this is an easy way to earn
Yeah.
extra income. Tapos, Filipinos are obviously huge users of social media. So parang it's a lot
Nag-aalala
of
sila ang
mix.
nabibictimize all the way outside Asia na raw, yung mga victims.
Nako.
Kaya it's attracting global attention.
That's going to be the next battlefield. But we'll leave that there for now. Thank you so much for joining Storycon today. Ami Pamituan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star. And Ronald, we lost him earlier. Hindi namin alam saan pupunta.
TJF na yun.
Nag-TGIF na.
Okay.
Nag-hang na yung prompter ko. Join us again Monday, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lake.
I'm Ed Lingao. We are One News, all sides, all the time.